Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents Wrestle AN. It's half wrestling show, half morning show, pretty much all BS. And of course, you got yours truly, the sexiest man on all Red Wrestling Radio. Boom, boom, here, Sugar Room, live from the RVA, Richmond, Virginia. Of course, going in alone here tonight, but going to review the new era of Impact Wrestling. It was their first show under new management, new writers, new stars debuting, new everything. And of course, the first question I'm going to ask is, what do you give tonight's show? I mean, this is the new era, new everything. Do you give it a win, a loss, or a tie? So over here in the chat room, down here in the comment section, please let me know what you thought. As far as me, I've got to give it a loss. I'm going to give it a big old fat goose egg. This was one of the, not just one of the worst Impact shows that I have seen. This is one of the worst wrestling shows that I have seen. And I'm going to lay it all down as I review this thing. And I know I'm probably going to get some heat for this, at least from certain people. But I can at least defend, why I believe what I believe now. I thought it started out promising enough, because it starts out, you did like this opening video, you had the history of TNA, going, all the way leading up to where we are now, which I liked. They showed a new theme, new graphics, new logo, and I loved all that. And then the show opens immediately with Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards brawling in the stands. They start choking each other. They start fighting. They actually got up into this one area where they were fighting right in front of some fans up on a second level. There was some teasing that they were going to like suplex. Richards was going to suplex Edwards off that second tier down to the concrete floor. But referees, agents, management came out. They started separating them. These two kept brawling. Then eventually security came out, started separating them. They brought them to the rampway. They started brawling some more. They had more security come out. It was like three to four guys on both Edwards and Richards. To finally, they were able to separate them and bring them apart. By the way, I should know that the referees are wearing some really nice blue shirts. I did like those, by the way. But then that's about the only good part of the show. Next, we go to ringside. We have Josh Matthews and D'Angelo De Niro. And they're saying that, it's a new era, the new things are here. And then Matthews looks over and says, hey, why is there a third headset here? Hey, why is there a third chair here? And I was like, I feel like it's a little late to do this because, they're on air. It's like you didn't notice that beforehand. It was like, I think he could have said Pope, after they do the introductions, like, Pope, I'm noticing a third headset, a third chair. Do you know what's going on? Has management told you anything? Because I haven't heard anything. Instead, it's like, hey, what's this headset doing here? What's this chair doing here? Well, dumbass, they're about to bring in a new announcer. Who's it going to be? And then they pull out Jeremy Borash, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. And then this leads to then Josh Matthews goes, he's been bad, but he was fucking insufferable. This is why I'm giving the show a loss, because Josh goddamn Matthews, god damn it, this guy is fucking annoying. Imagine like Mark Madden and heel Michael Cole had a baby, take away more of the talent, crank up the dickholeness to like fucking 11, and that's what you fucking had. Jesus Christ. And it was, the whole fucking night, I even sent him a fucking tweet. I actually tweeted to both Borash and Matthews saying that, this was the new era. The whole commentary should have been about the new era, the new talent. Instead, you made the show about you, because that's all these fucking two did. They fought like a fucking old married couple the entire fucking night. There was like Jeremy Borash trying to act like he was smart, that how he knew everything. And then there's Matthews, I'm being a dick, just to fucking be a dick. And there's Pope. Man, D'Angelo De Niro, he's in the middle like, oh, Jesus Christ. I think he realized, I don't know if it was a character. I understand these guys are playing roles here, but even like if it was character or not, I mean, like, he was playing like, Tom Phillips, and shit, who else? Basically like Tom Phillips, Percy Watson. He was just like, guys, we actually got a wrestling show that we need to call here. Can we start calling these matches? It was fucking insufferable, and it just kept getting worse the entire night. And then they just started with, I mean, this was so pathetic. It was so petty. They started doing name dropping. And, Borash says, there's a guy that used to sit right there, and he had it for 12 years. His name was Mike Tenay, and he took me under my wing. And then there's Josh Matthews. He has to go up and he has to start saying, oh, he was grooming me for this position, but instead, but 3 years ago, someone left the WWE, or should I say, someone was fired from WWE, and a couple of idiots who no longer work here thought he was more of the model announcer. And I'll tell you what the model announcer is nowadays: a Ken doll with no balls. And then Matthew starts name dropping. Goes, well, you know what? While you were learning under Mike today, I was sitting under the learning tree of Jim Ross, and I called WrestleMania in front of 80,000 people in the Georgia Dome, while people come to Impact for free. And I just thought that was so fucking petty. I thought maybe they're going to set it up and they're going to fire Josh Matthews and get him the fuck out of there. It would be worth it. But no, they're moving to a 3-man commentary team. And you're going to have Borash. Oh, I've got friends in the back. They tell me things. And then Josh Matthews, I'm a fucking dick. And then there's the Pope, like, okay, I guess we're gonna need to. I guess somebody's gonna have to fucking call the action, because these two want to bitch at each other. And it kept going. And then then the first thing we see, Cody Rhodes, he comes out of the back. He's like, okay, we can officially start the show because the American Nightmare is here, and there's his wife trying to call him off. And he's like, no, I want to fight Moose tonight. One-on-one. And then, of course, they say, Moose isn't here. He's in Japan, right? Whatever. And he doesn't believe them. So they eventually run him out of there. I mean, they bring like a security guy and escort him to the back. So they start the first match, and they have the DCC come out. So basically, you have Kingston and Bram out there, and they're saying they're debuting a new tag team that you've never seen here. They're never been on Impact before. And I'm like, okay. So they go to commercial break. And they come back, and it turns out to be a tag team called Reno Scum. Only thing I know about them is that they're tag team champions from a small promotion in Nevada. That's all I know at this point. I felt like maybe if these guys are going to be permanently on the roster, I felt like maybe they should have done a package. They should have done an interview. They should have done something to see who these people are. Why should we care about them? How long did they start? How long have they been wrestling? How long has it taken them to get to this spot? What does getting on Impact mean to them? These are a lot of just basic questions that they should have been able to answer, but they just didn't. So it's Adam and Luster, I believe their names. And this was an extremely short match. Again, Matthews and Borash arguing with each other on commentary. I mean, they just kept going. But anyway, during this match, they did this Reno Scum did this double team maneuver. It was actually kind of cool. It's kind of like an assisted curb stomp. He got, I think it was Adam got, I think it was Kingston, kind of like setting him up almost like he did his legs almost like a Texas clover leaf, and then lifted him up by his arms. And then Luster comes down and stomps on the back, so it's like an assisted. Picture Seth Rollins' curb stomp, but he came off the top rope and did that. That was good enough for the win. Afterwards, DCC's just kind of like pointing fingers at each other. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and Kingston's asking Storm why didn't he super kick anybody, and these two just these three kind of just kind of argued a little bit, and finally they're like, okay, let's just calm down here, let's cool. So they kind of hugged each other, and they left. So I'm thinking maybe these guys are maybe they're setting up the breakup here. Then next here we have the highlights of the the Laurel Braxton Sutter thing from 2 weeks ago. Mackenzie Mitchell, she's going to go try to talk with Maria, but Sienna comes up and says that, oh, did you hear what happened? Because of Allie's selfishness, she has a nervous breakdown and she had to leave. And then Mackenzie's like, oh, I thought it was contra. No, it's not. And I was like, okay, I guess that's fine. And Sienna says, well, you may have gotten rid of Maria, but you haven't gotten rid of me. So I guess maybe they're teasing ahead to something there. So then they bring out Braxton Sutter with Allie accompanying him. They go out for our second match of the night. It's a 4-way match, X Division match, even though the champion's not involved. There's no belt on the line. I don't think there's even a number one contendership on the line, but it was Braxton Sutter taking on Marsh Rocket versus DJZ versus Caleb Conley. Conley, I've actually heard of him. I think he's out of the Carolinas, but I've heard of him, but I've never seen him until tonight. This match was okay. It just went too fast. It was like a 5-minute match. These guys really didn't have time to get anything going. I really felt like this match should have been longer. I like the spots they did to the dives to the outside, which was insane. They did one spot where Allie climbed on the second rope and jumped onto Marsh Rocket to the outside. Sutter, he got rolled back in. Sutter gets the pin with, I think it was like a fisherman butt, like a swinging neck breaker fisherman suplex combo. And then Laurel Van Ness walked out from backstage. She was still in a wedding dress, running makeup, carrying her shoes and still drinking champagne. And I thought that was kind of sad because it was just fucking sad. It was beyond sad. I was like, you mean to tell me she's been in that wedding dress for 2 weeks drinking that same bottle of champagne? It's kind of dumb. It's really dumb. You could still have her be an emotional mess, but to still have her in the wedding dress with the running makeup and drinking same bottle of champagne, you mean to tell, it just kind of breaks a little bit of reality. You could still have her be a mess, be an emotional wreck, could have her drinking or whatever, but not in the same stuff. It's just stupid, to be honest. I just think it was absolutely dumb. Then next we have Sienna versus Rachel Ellering. And that was another thing that Borash hyped up, says, we got a new knockout debuting. She's a second-generation superstar. And then Matthews is, I've never heard anybody with that last name doesn't ring a bell. And I'm like, you fucking dick. I know that you're being a fucking heel, but come on. It's like Ellering. And of course, to which Borash replies, do you ever heard of the Road Warriors? Oh, you mean the movie? Fuck you, Josh. Fuck you. Piece of fucking shit. I could do your goddamn job. Hell, I'm doing your fucking job right goddamn now. And I'd do it probably better for a fraction of the fucking cost. Call me Impact. Again, this is another short match. Ellering, she's laying some kicks on Sienna. Sienna retaliates with a kick of her own. Rachel's starting to get people behind her. Ellering, she hits a suplex, hitting some forearms. Then she does like this pretty cool, it's like a springboard spinning leg drop. Gets a 2 count, but then Sienna out of nowhere hits her finishing maneuver, the silencer, gets the win. The match itself was okay. I just felt like the commentary really drug it down. And just to say something like, oh, we got Rachel Ellering, and then to have your fucking, supposedly your lead announcer go, well, that name doesn't sound familiar, and you claim to be like a wrestling fan or wrestling announcer. That's like being like an announcer for like football, for the NFL, for college football, whatever. And there's Chad Theismann coming out. Of course, he's, his dad was a legend in the NFL. Well, I've never heard of that. I understand. You know what? Joe Theismann was before my time, but I at least know who the fuck he is. Muhammad Ali, great boxer before my time, but I know who the fuck he is. So when his, daughter starts boxing, it's like Frida, not Frida, I can't remember her name now. I'm sorry, I'm fucking blanking. I apologize. I'm in the fucking zone now. That just looks fucking petty and it looks fucking horrible. Okay, so then they go to commercial break, and then they come back and they bring out Bruce Pritchard. And Matthews is screaming about how bad Bruce Pritchard is. He's like, the impact is not the same impact. He goes, I want to make everything clear so I'm not pulling a rib. TNA is dead. He says, we have new owners. We've got a different name. We're going to do, we're going to look for, we need to look for people who achieve greatness because, I was here, and I was like, yeah, you were there. And if I recall correctly, Bruce, you were there when TNA brought in Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Eric Bischoff, and promptly run the company into the fucking ground, took away the six-sided ring, ran all your fucking homegrown talent the fuck out. So yeah, Bruce, I really think you're the perfect person to be coming in here now. Yeah, great move, Impact. Great move. And then we have more name dropping. He goes, when you bring in like a new coach, new players, everything starts at the top. You want to bring in people who've achieved greatness. So the owners called me. I don't know why. He says, I was there when Hulkamania was running wild, when Stone Cold Steve Austin opened his first can of whoop ass, when he smelled what The Rock was cooking. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much more shit can you fucking name drop? I mean, this is the kind of shit that the old fans, and I'm not going to say I'm a diehard, Impact / TNA fan, but let me ask you this. If you've been a diehard TNA fan, now Impact fan, isn't this something that you wanted to get away from? You wanted to get away from the WWE. You wanted to get rid of the whole pettiness. You wanted to get rid of the comparisons. You didn't want the WWE rejects. You didn't want that, little brother comparison. You just wanted to start fresh. You wanted, Impact to be Impact or TNA to be, TNA, if we're going to speak in a historical sense. Is that something you wanted to get away from? Because these guys, like, they're saying this is a new era, a new everything, new management, but they're doing the same shit that they just fucking criticized Dixie Carter for. They're doing the exact same shit that people said, hey, you need to get away from. And they said, okay, we're going to get away from it. We're going to get this company out of the hands of this incompetent fucking boob. And we're going to run this thing differently, and they go back and do the exact same goddamn formula that they know didn't fucking work the first goddamn time. No, excuse me, the first 50 fucking times they tried it. That makes no fucking sense to me. And, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not like a diehard Impact fan, so I've got no dog in this hunt. But I'm like, if you know that this shit doesn't work, and you know it ran off people, it ran off you even admitted it ran off your own fans. Why are you doing it again? That's the definition of insanity. You're doing the exact same thing again and again and again, thinking maybe you might get a different result this time. Okay, and then he brings out Bobby Lashley. Lashley comes out and he said, there's not a man who can beat me. And he talked about his greatness, and it's like, he runs down the list of who he beat. He's beat Eddie Edwards. He beat Drew Galloway, and I even got to defend the President of the United States. I'm like, dude, stop with the fucking name dropping. And then he says, and Pritchard said, when people talk about, greatness, they talk about Michael Jordan, they talk about, LeBron James, they talk about Tiger Woods, and soon they'll talk about you because there's no one in the pack who can challenge you. And then Alberto El Patron walks out, and then he's basically saying, and people start, chanting C, 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 and Alberto takes the mic, and Lashley's like, don't make the same mistake of catering to the fans. And El Patron tells him to shut up. And then here we go. It's like, well, you haven't beaten me. And this brings out EC3. And EC3 logically makes a good point. He's like, wait a minute. You can't just literally walk in here on your first day and demand a title shot. You've got to earn it. And, of course, Lashley, correctly says, well, I've beaten you. And then finally, EC3 challenged Lashley to a match. And Lashley's like, no, I've already beaten you. And you know what? You're going to have to go to the back of the line. So Lashley tells Patron, okay, step over, tell me what you want. Of course, Patron's like, yeah, I want to dance tonight. And Pritchard's like, okay, let's do that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't this not sending the exact opposite message of what you want? You're starting a new era with TNA. You're trying to do new things. And the first thing you do is you literally let Mrs. Page come in off the fucking street, challenge your champion, while one of your former champions who's been there busting his ass goes, hey, no, you haven't earned it. I actually want a match. There's any, you need, or, because the match should have been, if you're going to do that, the match needed to be between EC3 and El Patron. That's what needed to happen. Because it's like, well, okay, fine, then I'll earn my title shot. And then you could have Pritchard go, okay, I'll tell you what, you two can have a match. And the winner of that will go on to face, Bobby Lashley next week. But instead, no, they let this happen, and they just leave EC3 fucking standing there with his fucking cock in his hand. He was like, what the, he's just kind of looking like, what the fuck's going on here? But, okay. And then they find out, Legend's going to show up. Mackenzie Mitchell, she interviews Eddie Edwards, talked about, if she saw this thing coming from Davey Richards. Angelina Love comes out saying some shit about this. It was always about you. You forgot about Davey, and then all these fans forgot about Davey and then slapped him because, he's more of a man than you. And Eddie Edwards says, well, if, he's more of a man than me, ask him why his wife hits harder than he does. Oh, okay, there you go. So then we go back out. Cody Rhodes is at ringside. He's looking for Moose. He's asking for Moose. Boris says, you know that he's in Japan. And then he says, no, who's the stooge? Who's stooging? He's like, no, I want to fight him. I want to fight him now. And, he's carrying the GWF Next Generation title and throws it in the ring. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to stay right here till I get my match with Moose. He literally sits there for 10 seconds, gets up, gets out of the ring, goes, no, where's Moose? And he's asking both, by the way, I love the fact that he left Josh Matthews hanging with the Too Sweet, asking the Pope, where is he? They're like, dude, he's in Japan. And finally, instead of holding up the show like he said he was going to do, and he's grandstanding, no, he just leaves. He just hops over the guardrail and walks off to the back. And I was like, that's fucking stupid. You just wasted like 3 minutes of my fucking life. Then the show gets worse. Dutch Mantel comes out. And he says, oh, wait a minute. I can't say that here. I used to be Zeb Coulter. And I'm like, God damn it. Can we stop with the fucking name dropping? Can we stop with the fucking pettiness? You got like this fucking Napoleon complex. You got this little brother complex. I mean, hell, they're promoting WWE more than fucking WWE does. Anyway, he talked about, he's been wrestling for 40 years, and that's great. And then he talked about the ink was barely dried, when they called me up and asked him if he's interested in making Impact great again, and saying, and he says he was there about 8 years ago. And then he talked about, then he starts name dropping. He drops AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Sting, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Christian, Booker T. And I'm like, okay, I wonder what all those guys are doing now. Geez, I wonder where I can go watch them now, because you're reminding me. I mean, why do you want to remind the whole audience, hey, this used to be really good at some point, allegedly, and now you're saying, well, but our product is shit now. No, that's not what you need to say. That's not the message you need to send. I don't know if that's what he was intentionally trying to do or not, but essentially Dutch Mantel was saying, yeah, I was here once upon a time. We had some good talent. We ran them all off. They all go to WWE. I was at WWE for a while, but now I left, and now I'm back here, and I'm going to try to make this good again. And, hey, look how good it used to be. Remember all these guys? Well, now they're over at WWE. You can go watch them there. I guess we're going to have to start all over again. No, it's not how you do things. And he said, he talked about, the reason why they left because they were lacking in the old TNA. And they said they left because of lack of vision, lack of respect, lack of paying customers. He starts kissing the fans' asses. Yeah, because remember, Bruce Pritchard was there when they said when TNA told AJ Styles, yeah, well, we want to resign you, but you're going to have to take a 60% pay cut. What the fuck you think he was going to do? God damn it. Anyway, and he goes, when I do, all I do is I'm a consultant. I give advice. They can take it, you can leave it, but I do have a boss, and that's you. You're the fans. And I'm like, and now I want everybody to stand up, place their hand over their heart, and a lyric loud voice say, "We, the people, will make Impact great again." And I'm like, fuck. I'm not even done yet. And believe it or not, kids, it gets worse. Next, we do the Hardys. They're apparently at Matt's zoo, and they're fighting Smoking Joe Frazier, the kangaroo. And yes, you heard that correctly. The name of Matt's kangaroo is Smoking Joe Frazier, and Jeff is wrestling the kangaroo, getting his ass kicked, and apparently he's saying this is like a sparring session. And then they go to teleport. And now, you know what? Let me just get through this segment here. And then as soon as they teleport, what pops up on the screen is the Decay pops up, and they're just like, and then they reach down and they pick up the tag team titles, and Rosemary says the Hardys are now deleted. And thank you, bucket of bolts. So by this logic, the Hardys teleported, and somehow during teleportation, the Decay hijacked Vanguard 1, and then they reappeared, and I guess they're now the Impact Tag Team Champions. If that does not make sense to you, congratulations. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm trying to piece this shit together I watched the same thing you fucking watched. It makes no sense to me. I know it doesn't make any sense to you, because even though we all knew that, TNA, or excuse me, Impact, I'm going to try to call them Impact from now on because that's their new name. Impact did not renew. They didn't re-sign the Hardys. There was issues over creative control. The Hardys even offered to drop the titles. They offered to come back and do it right. Impact told them no. And anybody who's got an internet connection, which is about 90% of the fucking United States, and all of you obviously, because you're watching this, knows about these issues, and then knows that they signed with Ring of Honor. And I'm like, well, why are they having this on here? Anybody with an internet connection knows that the Hardys aren't back, but yet, it kind of makes me sick to my stomach, because they talk about this new leadership, new everything, and they have no problem exploiting the Hardys. I just think it's shameful, in my opinion. And then Jeremy Borash announces that July 2nd is going to be the 15th anniversary of Impact, and they're going to have Slammiversary. That's going to be a pay-per-view. Then next we get to the Alberto El Patron versus Bobby Lashley match for the Impact World Heavyweight title, even though the belt still says TNA. They're going to have to change that, by the way. I'm not going to lie, the match itself was not bad. It was about a 20-minute match. It wasn't bad. Again, they name dropped, saying that El Patron is the fiance of Paige. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's where she's going to work when they release her this spring. Trust me, that shit's coming. This actually wasn't bad. Good jockeying back and forth. There was a lot of tease with the cross arm breaker. There was one where Hebner, the referee, Brian Hebner, gets knocked out. It was an accidental. Lashley collided with him, and Patron had the cross arm breaker, like he was going to get him to tap it. But this is one thing I did like about the match is Stifler goes in to fill in the position of the referee because Hebner's unconscious, and then they just keep going like they're going, and then El Patron tries with the arm breaker again, but hits a spine buster. Good spine buster, by the way. Patron hits a little short arm, little small DDT. Patron, he's setting up in the corner, and then Lashley pulled the referee in front of El Patron, and so Patron kicks the referee, knocks him out. Lashley goes and gets the belt. El Patron, he super kicks Lashley, gets the championship belt. Both referees are down. He nailed Lashley in the head. His EC3 is watching on the ramp away. He gets the pin. Stifler counts 1, 2, 3. So your winner and new Impact Heavyweight Champion is Alberto El Patron. The referees kind of come to, and they start arguing. Apparently, you can see that Brian Hebner's upset that Stifler took over the match, even though he was knocked the fuck out. Earl Hebner has to run in and kind of break it up. Maybe they're trying to say that there's some shenanigans here. There's some kind of controversy. They'll have to address it next week, but they don't make it clear, so there's no reason to watch. And then that's the show. So I give it a loss because, I mean, this was a poorly booked show. This was poorly produced, poorly directed. I mean, this was a disaster from top to fucking bottom. I personally think the first thing they should have done was have Bruce Pritchard come out there. Because whether you agree with it or not, you need to have Bruce Pritchard come out there and lay the foundation. Here's the new thing. And I don't even think you had to do the shit with the Hardys. I think you could have said, it's like, look, we've had to part ways with some of our talents. That's left some of our championships available. We will be addressing that. We will be holding tournaments that will culminate and we'll have tournaments and they'll culminate in championship matches. You could have had the brawl breakout between Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, and then that could have done the segue into the next thing. I would have only done Cody Rhodes in there once. I would have told everybody, do not name drop anything with WWE because it makes you look petty. It makes you look stupid because when you're in a company, and believe me, I've worked, and this is all I've got to compare it to. I have experience in news and television. And I'm not going to lie right now. I've never worked for a number one station. I haven't. Maybe that's coming later in my career, but right now I have not. And I've worked for, a second place, tight second place, and I've worked for a third place dog. And even in all those cases, you don't like insult the other guys. You don't, because if you're talking trash about them, what are you trying to hide? You always want to keep moving forward. You want to keep proving yourself. You don't want to draw attention to the other guys. You want to draw people to your product. And, and that's something that, I've done, is don't draw attention to the other guys. Don't do this petty shit. Keep trying to make your stuff better. Make them forget about the other guys. Draw them to you. And I felt like, Impact didn't do that. I think they played up too much. I mean, I think it's a complete contradiction of as I said earlier, this is a complete contradiction of everything, that they were doing. Instead of like going, okay, you know what, we're going to start fresh. This is a new beginning. You know what, the sky's the limit. Let's move forward. Instead, it was, okay, we started out okay, then they kind of went down the tubes, then it really went down the tubes, then we were kind of recovering, and now, okay, no, don't do that. It's fucking stupid. Also, the main event, the only thing I would have changed, I would have done everything. Maybe that's not the way I would have booked it, but I think you could have done everything the way they did it. But instead, at the end, have both referees down, have Bobby Lashley pick up the belt. He's about to clock Alberto El Patron with it, but EC3 finally runs down the ramp because he's already there. He snatches the belt away from Bobby Lashley. Then Alberto El Patron takes over. They wrestle another sequence, and eventually he gets the cross arm breaker. He makes him tap or whatever, but because here's the good guy, and the good guy, cheats to win. That's not what you want to do. It's not how you want to get him behind, get behind him. And then you could still do the controversy. You could have Bobby Lashley go, well, you know what I would have won if it hadn't been for that EC3, interfering. You still got controversy. You still got everything. You could have done a lot of different things. But no, that's what they opted to go with. And I thought it was just horrible. So that's my review for it. I just think it was petty. I think it was disjointed. I think it was just all over the place. Too much name droppings. I cannot stand Josh Matthews and Jeremy Borash together on the commentary team. It needs to be one of them, and preferably it needs to be Borash because I'd rather have him than goddamn Josh Matthews. Fuck you, by the way. Greatest fucking color commentator. Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. And you know what? I actually became a fan of D'Angelo De Niro because he was the only logical one in that. He was the only guy that was like, guys, we really need to, this is a wrestling show. This is not about getting you guys over. This is about the wrestling show. So let's call the wrestling. He had to be that. He was the anchor because believe it or not, I think if he had not been there, it just would have been Borash and Matthews trading shots all night. That's what it would have been. It was just sad. I think the matches could have been a little bit longer. I hated the exploitation, particularly, basically trying to suck up to the fans. I hated the whole exploitation of the Hardys. Last time we're going to see him, it doesn't make any damn sense. So I will just say this. If you're going to watch anything, I would say watch the main event with the mute button on, and that's it. That's all you need to watch. In fact, I think you can skip this show. This was supposed to be a fresh start, a new beginning, but instead of, trailblazing, taking a new path, they introduced new talent, particularly Reno Scum and Rachel Ellering without anything, without no video package, no interviews, no vignettes, no nothing. Hell, you could have done an interview like post-match or backstage. You could have done that. And because why should I care about these guys? I understand why you're signing these guys because you need somebody that you can fucking muscle around. But Impact is doing the exact same shit that they said they wanted to get away from. The only difference is Dixie Carter's not at the helm this time. Panda Energy's not footing the bill this time. You're putting all your stock into WWE cast-offs. You're screwing over the guys who've stayed. And believe me, you deserve a goddamn Purple Heart if you've stayed loyal to Impact this fucking long. Hats off to you. You're a fucking Marine. Semper Fi. If you're sticking with Impact after this. But it's more the same shit. It was, hey, here's all these big names that used to be here. Here are the big names who are here, or here are the big names we hope to create. Here's the vision for our future. You know what? Forget the old. You know what? We're starting all over again, clean slate. Let's be positive about the future. Instead, it was about whether you think that Dixie Carter, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, anybody like that deserve. I think they do deserve ridicule. I really do. I think they deserve to be booed and jeered for what they did and their lack of leadership, lack of vision, and how they ran that company. But you don't do it on your fucking national TV show in front of God and everybody. It's unprofessional. It's fucking petty. It always needs to be about the future. You need to be looking ahead. And I keep saying that because I hope Impact is watching this because I want them, if they take away nothing else from this review, I want them to at least know that you've got to be professional. You've got to lay out a future. You got to put out a product that all these fans that you yourself said you disenfranchised, that you left behind, that basically walked away from your product. You need to come up with something that they can get behind, that they can go, okay, you know what? Okay, we'll let bygones be bygones. Fresh start. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Instead, it was just so fucking petty and unprofessional. So, all right. All right, let's go ahead and get to the questions and comments. If you want to, if you want to leave me a question, go right for it here. Edward Mohan, by the way, thank you for joining us live here. He says, new owners, same TNA shit. I absolutely agree. And this is early, so I haven't watched TNA since before Hogan. I'm only in it for the scum. Thank you, Logan Fisher. M.A. Cod 114 says, all that Pritchard was missing is, I love you at the end of his speech. Yep, the brother. Yeah, for those of you who may not know, Bruce Pritchard is most known for doing his character Brother Love. He was actually the original manager of The Undertaker before he introduced Paul Bearer. He was always behind the scenes with WWE, even during the ages like the televangelist. So he came up with a Brother Love character. So that's what he's most known for. Ricardo Edwards says, I actually enjoyed tonight's episode of Impact minus Josh Matthews. I think that was almost everybody. Hopefully the company will have a new designs for the titles down the road. Yeah, I hope so. Because if you're going to get rid of TNA, you're going to have to introduce new championships. But I'm also kind of surprised they didn't put a fucking piece of duct tape over the TNA part of the championship belt. Bring back Taz and Mike today. Not so fast. I thought the juniors are coming to Impact. I guess you mean minis. I don't know. It really wouldn't shock me at this point. MA COD 14. I just finished watching the show. Enjoyed the in-ring action. Hopefully there will be more action than talk in the future. The only way I watch Impact is on DVR, so I can fast forward through the crap. Well, you've been fast forwarding through about 75% of this show. Match-wise, nothing was just god-awful horrible. Reno Scum versus DCC was just short, blink and you miss it. There wasn't a lot to it. They didn't give me any reason to get behind Reno Scum. The story seems to be the DCC starting to melt down. The four-way with Braxton Sutter, Marsh Rocket, DJZ, and Caleb Conley. That could have been longer. I think that had potential. Sienna versus Rachel Aaron was actually kind of cool, and then just Sienna kind of gets the win out of nowhere, and then they don't wrestle for a long time. They get to the main event. So this is almost like, God, this is like SmackDown. This is like fucking SmackDown. 2 hours, 4 matches. Oh, dear God. What's wrong with having wrestling on a wrestling show? Can anybody answer that? Let's see. Heavy J, Rosemary's the only thing I care about in Impact. Heavy J, I'd like to introduce you to Sammy because that's his girl. Heavy J says, thank God for Lucha Underground and New Japan. Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes. Please, if you have not watched any of my New Japan reviews, go check that out. I got one in the can now. I did the 45th anniversary show. That was so good. And then Lucha Underground will be back at the very end of May. Cannot wait for that. Ricardo Edwards, I prefer international commentary than American commentary. Well, unless you speak Spanish or Japanese, I guess that's maybe why we like it, because we can't understand them. We can at least pick up the inflection. We can pick up the gist of things. No, Jim Ross, is he coming to Impact? No, he's already said no. Jim Ross has said no. I was hoping so, but no, he is not. Actually, New Japan has got a lot of English commentary now. I'm going back to Ricardo Evans's point there. CMLL, I could understand some Spanish, and I do stress some, maybe 3 or 4 words, here and there. Maybe maybe one word for 10 minutes worth of talking I can maybe understand. Japanese, not a clue, but I don't have to worry about it because they're getting a lot more English commentary with Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, which is actually pretty good. It's not the greatest, but it's still pretty good. What Culture Pro Wrestling is pretty good. I'll have to check that out. So if somebody can send me a link to that via Internet Magic, I'd appreciate it. TNA needs New Japan Wrestling's Japanese commentary. Those guys can make anything sound exciting. Well, that's actually because New Japan Pro Wrestling is actually really good. That's why. All right. You know what? Let me check out something here. You know what? Let's just go ahead and call it a night here. I want to thank everybody for joining us here. We're doing some new things right now. We're trying to fill the void till LK has left and went on to bigger and better things. Mad respect to you, brother. Sammy is on vacation in Florida right now. Dave Coco is hopefully going to be back on air in just a few more days. Last message I got from him was that he's gradually starting to unfuck his situation. His words, not mine. So hopefully he'll be back soon. I'm just trying to fill in the best I can right now. Maybe I can crank out another. I know I need to do an NXT review. There's a lot of stuff coming up. Ring of Honor's got their 15th anniversary show coming up this weekend. We got the New Japan Cup starting this weekend. That's going to be a huge 16-man tournament. Our buddy Wrestling and Renton's got a nice preview of that over on his channel. Please like and subscribe to him. WXW's got a show. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of fucking wrestling going on this weekend. CMLL's got a fucking show. This is going to be crazy. So I don't know if we can cover it all. So we're also looking for reviewers here. So if anybody's interested and you think you can do it, just be sure to hit us up here. Just 3 conditions. 1, you have to be over 18. 2, you need to send us like a link to some of your work, and by that, and you're thinking, well, I don't have a show. And you don't need a show. Just do a YouTube video like I'm doing right now, but do like a Fave 5, like my Fave 5 tag teams of all time, my Fave 5 managers of all time, my Fave 5 Japanese wrestlers of all time. You can do that. Or, if you don't like how I did Impact, or you felt like I didn't add enough to Impact Wrestling, you could review Impact and just send me a link to it, and we'll take a look at it. And the third one, most importantly, is you have to be loyal to an idea, not a company. What I mean by that is you can't basically go in here thinking that one company is just, they can't do any wrong. I have to spin things. You have to be able to tell me if somebody does something good, you need to tell me why. If you think a company has done something bad, you need to tell me why. And nobody is immune to this. I mean, nobody is immune to your criticism. You can like anything. I mean, you can like EC3, you can like Okada, you can like AJ Styles, but if they do something wrong, you can't be afraid to go, well, I don't think that was so good, and here's why. That's what I mean by that. In the meantime, check us out, KocoSports.com, KocoSports.com. It's your home for combat sports. It's where the world goes to kick ass, and most importantly, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. Be sure to like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So in the meantime, kids, thanks for joining us. And this is Boom Boom for the rest of the Coco crew saying the boom just went bang, and I am out.